A leader's death is a deadly blow for any country, but here it's a double whammy because Raisi was not just president, he was also supreme leader in waiting. Most people expected him to succeed Ayatollah Khamenei. So his death is like a reset. It will force Iran back to the drawing board. We'll tell you about the key players and how the odds are stacked. But first, let's tell you more about Raisi himself. How did he accumulate so much power? How did he rise to the top? Raisi was born in 1960 in the city of Mashhad. His family was deeply religious. You may have noticed the black turban that he used to wear. That's actually a religious symbol. Raisi traced his heritage to Prophet Muhammad, which is why he wore this black turban. He completed his religious training in the city of Qom. It's a holy city believed to be the center of Shia Islam. That's where Raisi got the title of Ayatollah. It's a position in Islamic hierarchy, Ayatollah. Only high-ranking clerics become Ayatollahs. It was all the rage in the 20th century. In the 1970s, when the Iranian Revolution came, Raisi was ready for it. As a young man, he supported Ayatollah Khamenei, the first supreme leader. Iran has had only two supreme leaders so far, Ruhollah Khomeini, who served from 1979 to 1989, and Ali Khamenei, who's been supreme leader since 1989. He's the current leader. Raisi worked for both of them. He served as a local prosecutor. In fact, he spent most of his career in the judiciary. In the 1980s, he was on a judicial commission, and this commission sentenced thousands of political prisoners to death. By some accounts, 5,000 of them. And this brutality earned Raisi a moniker, the Butcher of Tehran. That's what he was called. He was heavily sanctioned by Western governments. But his loyalty to the religious leaders in Iran never wavered. And that was a feature of his life. Raisi lived and breathed the Iranian Revolution. And that is why Khamenei liked him. In 2017, Ebrahim Raisi contested the presidential election. He was backed by Iran's clergy, yet he lost. In 2019, he was appointed as head of the judiciary. And in 2021, he ran for president again. This time, in 2021, he had more support of the regime. The whole contest was rigged in Raisi's favor. Many moderates were disqualified. Many hardliners dropped out. So Raisi became the only prominent face. As president, his rule had three pillars: cracking down at home, challenging the West, and closer ties with Russia and China. We start with the crackdown. We saw that during the anti-hijab protests. President Raisi refused to back down. Instead, he pushed on with moral policing and tried to crush the protests with force. Number two, resisting the West. Raisi was in no hurry to negotiate a nuclear deal. He refused to budge from his positions. Under him, Iran also enriched more uranium. Their reserves are at 60% enrichment. Around 90% is weapons grade. Finally, pillar number three, closer ties with China and Russia. Raisi traveled to Beijing last year. It was the first trip by an Iranian president in 20 years. He also took Iran into two multilateral groups, BRICS and SCO, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Both are groups with China and Russia. There are also reports of Iranian drones being used against Ukraine, and all of these suggest close ties. It also suggests why the supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, picked him. Both men were on the same page, same ideology, same politics, same approach, which is why Raisi's death is very consequential. It raises questions about the future of Iran. The biggest question is that of succession. Iran's constitution is quite clear about it. If a president dies, the first vice president takes over. In this case, that's Mohammad Mokhber. He's very close to the supreme leader, even managed an investment fund linked to Khamenei. So like Raisi, he's a loyalist. But Mokhber is only a caretaker. He must hold presidential elections within 50 days. Then a new president will be elected. And who will that be? Who will the new president be? There are no indications yet. Iran's presidential candidates are vetted by a special body. The whole process is overseen by Ayatollah Khamenei. So it all comes down to him. In 2021, Khamenei used the presidency to groom Raisi, to give him some ruling experience. Will he do the same again? Or will he opt for a rubber stamp leader? I ask because the choice goes beyond the presidency. Khamenei, remember, is 85 years old. So his succession is also in play. And one name doing the rounds is Mojtaba Khamenei, the Supreme Leader's son. But it's not a done deal yet. The regime is not a fan of hereditary succession. They think it's a bit like the monarchy. So as of now, there is no clear frontrunner, either for president or for Supreme Leader. And that's a huge worry for Iran. We are talking about a theocracy here, a country where democracy is managed by the regime. So leadership and succession are existential issues. A clean succession will consolidate the regime's grip. A messy one will weaken it. And Khamenei knows this. His messaging is all about stability. He says the government will operate without disruption. In other words, do not worry, we have it all under control. But such assurances may not be enough because the regime is already facing many challenges, like a weak economy and brewing social discontent. Which brings us back to my first point. Iran will be forced back to the drawing board. The regime has two priorities as of now. One is to pick a successor, both for the presidency and the Supreme Leader. And second is consolidation, to tighten its grip on the country. Now the question is, what will that look like? A foreign policy gamble? More crackdowns at home, or a daring regional campaign? These are nervous times for Iran and West Asia.
Firstpost reports from the world's second largest continent. Hello, I'm Alison Lagrange. A very warm welcome from Durban, South Africa. We get you the news and the newsmakers from Africa. South Africa goes to the polls on the 29th of May. I will track the election and bring you ground reports. Is it the end of the road for the African National Congress? And will former President Jacob Zuma stage a dramatic comeback? From elections to climate change to innovations and opportunities. As the world's attention shifts, we report from Africa, the heart of the global South. Join me every weekday live on Firstpost.